Hi. So, funny story. I went and recorded this video the other day. One of my kids' favorite things to make with my sourdough starter discard is sourdough cinnamon rolls. They request them all the time, so I figured I'll make a video. So, made a really good video, went to edit it and realized I never turned my mic on, so the whole thing was silent. So we're making them again today. You might see me with my hair down. That was from the old video. So anyone who has sourdough starter knows that you build up an amount of discard. Okay, discard is the unfed sourdough starter. And one of my favorite things to do is make things that are not sourdough bread with the discard. So what we're going to need for this recipe today, and this recipe comes from Hopewell Heights blog, and I found it on Pinterest. I will link the recipe in the comments. One of the best things about this discard recipe is it's a 30-minute recipe, and it really is. So the first thing you're going to want to do is put a cast iron skillet in the oven and preheat the oven to 425. In the time that it takes your oven to preheat, you're pretty much going to be able to get all your ingredients together. So what you're going to start with is 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Then add to that sugar, salt, and baking powder. All right, you're going to want to stir all those ingredients together. And then, kind of like if you've ever made biscuits, you are going to take 3/4 of a cup of butter and you're going to grate that cold butter into the flour. Okay, so you're going to use a full stick and then a half of a second stick. And when I read the instructions, I was like, well, this is very inconvenient. But then I was surprised at how quickly it happened. Now that all your butter is shredded like cheese into your flour, you're just going to stir it, and you're not going to stir it much. You're going to kind of just turn it in. So if you've ever made biscuits, it's very similar. All right, just so you get all your butter coated pretty much. You do not want it to start looking like dough. That means you've done too much. Okay, so make it shaggy. And then you are going to add in 1 cup of your sourdough discard, 1 egg, and a 1/2 cup of whole milk. Okay, here's my sourdough discard. Start with that. My 1 egg, which we always have eggs here with our chickens. And when I bought my eggs store-bought, I would crack them right into whatever I was making. Not the case with my chickens. You never know. So there's 1 egg. And then we're going to do a 1/2 cup of whole milk. My 1/2 cup is in the dishwasher, so we're doing 2 1/4 cups here. All right, and then you're just going to kind of incorporate that. All right, just like before, you don't want to overdo it. You just kind of want it to all look kind of shaggy. And then once it's shaggy, you're going to turn it out onto your countertop or wherever you roll out your dough. Make sure it's lightly floured. All right, let's do that. At this point, you're going to fold it over to incorporate it, but you still want it to be shaggy. You don't want a big ball of bread dough. You just want to incorporate your flour into your dough, but you still want to be able to see your butter. Okay, so once your dough is incorporated, you're going to want to take out your rolling pin, and you're going to make a 6x9 rectangle. So now that we have our dough all rolled out, we need to work on our filling. For your filling, you're going to want to take a 1/4 cup of melted butter, which I just pop in the microwave. So nice to have that because for years when we moved here, we didn't have a microwave. This kitchen is all new to us. You're going to take a 1/4 cup of melted butter. You're going to need a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. You're going to need cinnamon, and you're going to need some vanilla extract. So let's grab that. You are going to add a 1/4 cup of brown sugar and a tablespoon of cinnamon to your melted butter. Swirl it in, and then once that's incorporated, you're going to add your teaspoon of vanilla extract. At this point, you're going to want to take 2 tablespoons of cold butter, and you're going to want to drop it on your skillet in your oven. The first time I did this, I was really nervous I was going to burn the butter, but it actually ended up perfect. So what we're going to do now is we're going to roll our cinnamon buns. So what I like to do is start farthest away and roll it towards you. Okay, so it should come up nicely. If it gives you a little bit of trouble, this is where my bench scraper comes in really handy. And now you're going to want to cut it into 12 pieces. So I start in the center, cut it in half, and then cut each half in half, and then cut each quarter into 3. When you're done, you should have these. Don't they look great? So now we're going to drop them into our pan with our butter. Once those are all in, I set my timer for 15 minutes. It gives me the perfect amount of time to clean up my dishes and to make my frosting. Okay, so now that all my dishes are done, I'm gonna make my frosting. So I'm gonna start by taking 4 ounces of softened cream cheese, and it says to use a blender. I'm gonna use my immersion blender just because it's an easier cleanup for me. And I'm gonna blend it for about 2 minutes till it's really smooth. Once my cream cheese is smooth and I don't see any lumps, I'm going to add 1 cup of powdered sugar. I'm going to blend that for another 2 minutes. At this point, when your cream cheese and your powdered sugar start to incorporate, it's going to start to look more like cake icing. Now that that's all incorporated, it looks more like icing. I know I got some residual powdered sugar on the walls here, but that'll come down once I add my milk and my vanilla extract. So I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of whole milk, and I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then I'm going to stir for a final 2 minutes. All right, perfect timing. I just finished. My timer's going off. So now we're going to take these, Alexa, turn off the timer. So now we're going to take these cinnamon buns out of the oven, and we're going to immediately pour our frosting right over top of it.
Now it's time to taste it. very cinnamony. Very cinnamony. The icing is really good. Very crunchy at the start. The middle is probably like soft. And I think it's very good. Cooked really well. And I think that's it. Mommy, I finished. I want to put it.
Good, let's go.